Namaskaram, this is Millennial Living, a podcast to help you find a meaningful and fruitful life. Each episode, we explore practical wisdom from the Bible as well as popular ideas put forward by prominent authors, thinkers, and storytellers through books and other media. So sit back, grab a cup of chai, and let's embark on this journey together.
Hi, this is Nitin Sam, your host for Millennial Living, a podcast for a fruitful and a meaningful life. Now, this episode, I'm trying to answer a very broad question and yet a very relevant one. Am I wasting my time on earth? Eh? Oh, these glasses? Why are you wearing them? Just wait and watch. Okay. Now, what did most of the philosophers think about life in general? I want to begin with Solomon the Wise. He said that life is just Hebel, which means vapor. It's gone. He said it's just a breath. You're done with. But we have different versions of Hebel, meaninglessness in India. Now, let's get a hold of different facets of a Hebel. Now, I'm going to do some dramatic monologue for each meaning of Hebel in India. Now, this is the modern pessimist. Watch very carefully. Is the Albert Camus style. Here we go. It's horror. Meaninglessness. Utterly meaningless. Everything is meaningless. Horror. Life is horror. Meaningless. Oh. Here we go. But in India, we got something with most of the Indian middle class people. They have something which is very, very different. Now, here we go. Now, the typical style of this. Yeah. Vratam da, vratam. Yellame vratam da. We plan, we strive, think a big 5-year plan. Go up, set up big goals. Pointless. End of the day, credit card and joint pain only. What is the use really? What is the use? Another farm, another failure. Enna pandrandu sir? Iduthaan vaalgai. Let's go to a man of the soul. In India, this is going on old Bollywood style. जिंदगी की मजदूरी काम करते हैं works is so hard but it's just all pointless. It slips through our hands and all that remains is just mitti, sirf mitti or thakawat. Next we go to some madness. What do you say? What do you say about it? We go Maya. We chase the shadows but there is nothing. Nothing stays. Nothing, it just seems nothing. Oh, Maya. Illusion. Oops. In other words, everything is evil, man. You know, this is what all the philosophers say. Life is meaningless, useless, fruitless, pointless deception. Unless we're missing something, right? And I want to say, what is that? What is that we're missing? I'm going to teach you something, a beautiful lesson through a beautiful illustration that I had recently. A geyser in our apartment stopped working. Something was wrong. And at the end of the day, the designated fixer of the family, the handyman, I went to check it out. I tried out the cutout, nothing's wrong. The fuse looked intact. I removed the socket from the wall. The power seemed okay. I tried the switch. It looks good enough. Perhaps it could be the plug. No, that's not it. Then I went to the bathroom and tried all the gimmicks I knew. Nothing's working. Nothing what I do seems to work. My wife was impatient. She called out from saying, is it done? And I'm like, oh, I'm still working on it. Should we call the electrician? And I was like, no, that hit my ego. And I can't do that, buddy. Let me just give it a try. Okay. And I did everything and I got nothing. Just utter futility. Finally, after all my useless work, decided to meet the geezer in person and ask him what his problem is. So I went to the geezer and I asked him, hey buddy, what's wrong with you, geezer? No answer. But I noticed a small red button and I was curious to know what it is. So I felt it and I accidentally pressed it. Voila! The geezer just came on. Little did I know that it was just the reset button. And so my wife called up from the other side. Did you fix it? And I go like, oh yes, I did it. I know. Come on, man, I did it. At the end of the day, I'm the one who fixed it. I'm the one who pressed it, right? I'm the one who found it. Now, And real life illustration proves a major point. Unless you reset your meaningless act to something which is needed, it will always remain meaningless. And that something is a person. It is God. A tiny reset button that you have to put on the geyser. Now, when you live your life over here, instead of fixing that machine, you truly need to focus on what really matters, and that is God. And the sad fact is we try to do it all by ourselves. We're going to live in this world forever. Try harder, dishang. Be focused, dishang. Determination, dishang. Oh my, come on. Earn more, success, more power, more wealth, more pleasure, and what more? Everything. Now, sometime back, I read somewhere the formula for success is the same formula for a mental breakdown. Now, I seriously don't know who said that, but I think that person's got a point. You remember the story that I told you about the Pandavas reaching the lake and drinking the water, and then they were so questioned by the Yaksha, and finally Yudhishthira had to save them by answering all their questions. You know what? An interesting question that the Yaksha asked. You know what was that? What is the most wondrous thought? Now, do you know what Yudhishthira answered? He said that the countless people die every day, and yet everyone thinks that they can live forever. That's an interesting take on human nature. It's a mystery. Even the Asians observe that deep down, people feel like they are meant to live forever. Now, the story of Yudhishthira and the Yaksha has a very enchanting turn there. You know what that is all about? Did I tell you this in the last episode? Never mind. It's okay. The Yaksha who asked questions turned out to be none other than Yamadevan himself, or Kalan, embodiment of time himself. Mm-hmm. The Lord of Dharma, or Yudhishthira's father. Yeah. The ancient rishis might have something to say about time, right? In fact, a careful look at Kalan's question, almost all of them were pertaining to time. Yes. But what did Yudhishthira mean when he said that everyone thinks that they can live forever? What does it mean? In the previous episode, we spoke about the intuitive feeling that we all have that we are meant to live forever. And I told you that we have to embrace that eternity within ourselves. But it is one thing to have that sense of eternity, and it is another thing to embrace that eternity. That's the difference. That's the catch. You see, most of us are meant to live forever. All of us are meant to live it. But the sense, that projects itself on life, which is very strong on this earth, it is so strong that we spend all our energy to live eternally in this world. Big mistake. You're embracing eternity, you're embracing temporality, man. That's what Yudhishthira meant. Let's go back to Solomon the Wise. Indeed, he wrote the book and he said that, eternity about in human hearts and all that. But you know what was the cardinal or the important message in the book of Ecclesiastes? It is this, that life is meaningless. Meaninglessness. Insane. He repeats it 38 times in the same book. I want you to just read it. Yet when I surveyed all what my hands had done and all that I toiled, everything was meaningless, a chasing after the wind. Nothing was gained under the sun. That's what he said. This is the irony of human life. Eternity in the hand, eternity in the heart, and temporality in this body. Remember, all that you do has no meaning, and don't waste your time in just unless you reset every of them, orienting it as a worship to God. Not all of your acts need to be eternity oriented, nope, but all that is given by God, and if it is received in gratitude, it becomes a meaningful act. Celebrate your small victories. Take joy in the little pleasures that you got with gratitude. It makes sense. Enjoy your job and the efforts that you put in achieving, and but it is a worship to God. It all makes sense when you orient it to God. Now, in the previous episodes, I had encouraged you to embrace the short-lived life you have in this world. That was Oliver's advice for us who are looking to manage our time, and I agree with it wholeheartedly. But in the last episode, I exhorted you to embrace eternity in you. But this episode, I go further to tell you many a thing, and we do want to remember that everything in this world is meaningless until you put this before God, orient it before God. Now, we must know that we cannot go every day, everything within the short period of time. We cannot do everything, okay? Remember, you also need to prioritize things towards eternity. Number 3, note that many a times your efforts becomes wasteful, but it is an act of worship when you orienting it to God. And that is true truth. Life isn't about doing everything. It's about doing the right thing with the right heart for the right purpose. And it begins all with a reset. So what's the takeaway? That life can feel like a vapor. It can feel like Maya, but it doesn't mean that it is hopeless or meaningless. It makes meaning when you are actually resetting it to God. And that reset button is God. Becomes everything. Even a mundane task becomes a worship. And next time when your geyser works out or your plans work or fall apart and you just feel like, just breathe, relax, find that reset button and press it. Because this life, though short, it can be made fulfilled with God. Until next time, this is Nitin Sam from Millennial, because somebody has to ask if the world has gone mad biblically. And from this corner table unto you, grit and grace, man. Grit and grace, God be with you.
Thank you for tuning in to Millennial Living. We hope today's episode has inspired you. Be sure to subscribe and share this podcast with your friends. Join us next time for more insights. Until then, take time for self-reflection and change. Jai Hind.